Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Aura Vasquez, and I am very excited to host you today on a very important conversation about renewable energy and batteries, especially because in the midst of this pandemic, we have more demand for energy, and also climate change is continue being a real problem and a real issue for for a lot of us here in the world. In LA, we have been really at the forefront of fighting climate change and looking for more renewables and more ways to continue helping the sun shine at night. So, there's a lot of new technology, and I would love to welcome our friends from Power Orbital who are going to talk a little bit about battery storage with us. So, hi.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing? Welcome.
We're very good. We're quite busy, although the circumstances are a little bit tricky lately, but we're very busy.
Excellent. So, Lenka, one thing that I want to know for my viewers out there is that I love the fact that you're one of the co-founders, that you're a female, and that the renewable energy industry can be quite masculine or led by a lot of men. So, how has that been for you? That experience of being a female in a world that is being mostly dominated by men.
I typically don't recognize the male-female thing. I think that when you know the industry and you know the specialty and in terms of the battery or energy world, it's all what you know. It doesn't matter what gender it is. So, I mean, yes, I don't meet so many women as in other industries, but it hasn't been a problem. On the contrary, like my partners are all men, and they're very, very supportive.
Amazing. And so, how did you get involved in renewable energy, or especially with Power Orbital?
So I started several companies, and one of my partners told me way back about the battery projects, and I replied, "Well, that's interesting, but I'm not interested. Thank you." But and I'm talking about that's back 8 years or 9 years back. But then he was like, "Wait a minute, you have to listen to the whole story." So he told me what they are doing with the batteries, and that it's quite different technology as opposed to existing lithium-ion batteries. And so I listened. I said, "Give me a little bit of time. I'll find out more about it. I'll learn about it," because I used to work in oil industry. So
Wow.
It was totally opposite. And the more I learn about it, I realized that I would like to be involved because A, it helps the planet, and B, it's very exciting industry to be in right now, especially.
Yeah, and as you see in California, we take great pride to say that we are very green, and that we support a lot of renewables, and that we want to be. I mean, in fact, in California, we already have legislation that is asking our state to go 100% renewable energy. Is this something that you see also in your industry, that you see much in other places where you also with Power Orbital works?
I mean, it's just a growing industry. It's exciting. I think the world is slowly turning into sustainable energy in general. You see more and more people are driving electric vehicles. It's more and more people are storing sustainable energy and use sustainable energy. So I think that's just something which right now is the time to go to. And yes, we had to have the development. The cost of the batteries were decreasing so much in past 8 years, so it helped to store the energy actually. And now it's becoming just it makes sense because it's cost effective, and we have the infrastructure to implement the batteries.
So for my viewers that have heard me talk about climate change, they hear me talk about microgrids, they hear me talk about solar, 100% renewable for Los Angeles. Can you explain to us what a battery is in the sense of a battery storage as we know it today to store energy?
So everybody probably knows photovoltaics, the solar panels, or wind, or any sustainable energy. So this energy is not predictable. So in order to use the energy when, for example, there is no sunlight in the night, we have to store the energy somewhere. So there is a certain amount of chemistry is being tried out for the battery storages. Majority of them are lithium-ion batteries. So any unused energy is stored in those small Panasonic small cylindrical cells. And then, so we, for example, we make bigger cells where we store the energy to use it whenever the solar panels, for example, do not work during the night, for example. So any unused energy is being stored in a sort of chemistry that is released later for our usage.
And is this looking like a battery from a car, or like visually, how does this look like?
So ours look very similar to car battery because we changed the chemistry and we changed the, we changed the architecture mainly of the battery. So we made the decision that small cylindrical cells are not necessarily the safest option to go for large utility scale energy storages. So we changed the architecture and we used a large metal plate with typical chemistry, NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt in the battery. And therefore, we made robust, big battery that can be scaled up to unlimited sizes. So we can set up energy storages for a village, for example.
Wow. So basically this, because I remember when I first heard maybe 10 years ago when battery storage became more popular, they were very big, almost like as big as containers. And they didn't store a lot of energy because, the technology was just being developed. What is the difference between Power Orbital, what your company does, and maybe another battery? You pick whoever is like another different battery so we can kind of have an idea of what the difference is.
Sure. So the existing lithium-ion batteries on the market really are not so much safe. So what we changed, we were sitting down and we were thinking, well, majority of the batteries are lithium-ion, so it's been proven we don't necessarily need to change the chemistry, but where we need to add up is the premium is the safety, because lithium-ion by nature is highly flammable. So since we changed the architecture of the battery, we changed the cooling of the battery, so we provided the safest battery on the market. So we tested it. Our CTO, who's the inventor of the battery, he loves to destroy our batteries. He just loves to do that. So he shot it with guns. He was throwing it out of the building. We were running over the battery with vehicles, and it doesn't explode. There is no fire, and even if we put it in fire, the battery itself doesn't explode. So think about it for the energy storages for let's say a building. The worst what can happen with the battery is that it self-ignites, or there is a thermal runaway, and there is a large fire.
Yeah, and I can also see how, for example, in large scale projects like in the desert, where sometimes the temperature gets so high, and where you have a lot of hardware that maybe are reflective and causes fires, just causes fires in the desert. So I can see how this application for this battery can be very helpful.
Exactly. And the other way we made the battery different is, well, it's all about sustainable energy. So, but you might know that lithium-ion or all the chemistry used in the batteries are highly toxic when it's dumped in land. So we wanted to create 100% recyclable battery, and we did. So at the end of the life cycle, we buy back the batteries, we recycle all the active materials, including the metal frames, and we reuse it in a new battery. So That's what I call sustainable solution.
And I love that. That's the reason why I wanted to bring you guys to talk about your specific battery, because it's, I have been an environmental justice, environmental activist for a really long time. And we used to always talk about how this technology sometimes can be more toxic than actually the good things that it does. So, for example, somebody's asking here in the comments, um, if rather lithium, if cobalt do the same than become future extractive industries, right? So I think you answered a little bit of you answered that question when you explained to us that you also have a system for the life of the battery that you can take back and utilize it in the future.
Yeah, so with the cobalt, it's been very so cobalt is mined typically in Republic of Congo, and that they've been using kits to mine the cobalt, but it's been changing, and that's probably what your viewer is asking about. Well, we created a cobalt-free solution, so we don't need to use cobalt. Cobalt is supposed to be one of the most expensive chemical compound in the battery, so we are fine and we can do the cobalt-free solution. And I think majority of the companies are heading towards that direction to use a cobalt-free solution for all the batteries.
One of the questions that I got before when I announced that I was going to talk about battery, and I say the same thing that you said earlier, which is, but having battery storage give us the ability to help to continue getting the sun shining at night. And what are some other applications that you're looking into with batteries right now? And with COVID-19, I know that we're in a whole other uncharted territory, and also just in general with renewables. What are some of the applications for batteries?
So there's a lot of applications from residential to utility scale to just imagine blackouts for airports. What it provides is reliable power and pretty much non-stop power. So all the backup systems need some sort of battery storage. It used to be diesel generators or lead acid batteries, which last only 2 or 3 years. So when you implement the lithium-ion battery or any other battery which can store energy, such as flow battery, it provides very good quality energy, and it also provides energy which is very stable. But the other applications, for example, we're working on electric trucks in Europe, or electric cargo boats, which would, as you might know, the cargo boats or vessels, they are the biggest pollutants of the planet, or one of the biggest pollutants of the planet. So if we are able to change those vessels into fully electric boats, and for the import and export of the goods, that would be amazing. So that's one of the projects we're working on.
Yeah, in California, we always talk about that one of the biggest polluters besides, power plants and buildings, building buildings, is also the transportation sector. And a big piece is cargo and bigger trucks, and especially in LA with the Port of LA, where, it's one of the biggest, most significant areas where we import goods in the West in general, like in the whole continent. The Port of LA is one of the biggest. So I guess this application to have it in trucks is extremely important to make sure that we clean up the port, which is something that Mayor Garcetti has really supported and be ahead of, and is asking, and we're just waiting for good technology to arrive. So tell us a little bit about how Power Orbital was born, or what was the promise. I know that you talk a little bit about one of the members of your team and all of the experiments that he does, but if you can just take us to understand a little bit about your company and how did you guys came to life.
Sure. Dr. Jan Prochaska is the inventor of the battery, and he's also inventor of another 100 commercialized patents. So we call him a genius. He's a chemist, and he loves to just explore, and he's quite impressive. So 15 years ago, he started this battery technology when nobody believed that there will be a battery storage industry. Simultaneously, he started, then we talked about it, a coating that is capable of cleaning the air and killing the virus, and some other just inventions he came up with. And so he was testing the battery. In Czech Republic, they created a small automation line just to make prototypes, and they built first a very small solar boat, which was just for their usage with my other partner, and that's how it all started. So from small, they were making small steps. They were prototyping batteries until they raised capital to build now the biggest factory for energy storages in Europe, 1.2 gigawatt hour annual production. And Power Orbital is just a part of that parental company, and we're raising capital to build the factory for the US market in the US.
Awesome. So I'm getting a question here. Maybe you can help answer it, or maybe both of us can answer. But when do you see batteries powering homes and businesses? The time frame.
So is it us or general batteries?
I think in general, I think I want to prompt you, because this question especially touches like municipalities. It also depends on when cities are ready, because you guys have been working on the technology. Power Orbital has been developing this beautiful, battery. But the cities, are we ready? I mean, we're gonna have Marty Adams from the Department of Water and Power on Thursday speaking to us, and he can maybe answer this question better than us.
Well, we can already see the batteries powering the homes. I mean, especially for example in Los Angeles, Tesla batteries are powering a majority of the new development houses, since they have to use the solars, and it's just the missing puzzle, the battery storage for the houses. So we will see more and more homes being powered by batteries. The question is when we will see 100% of those homes being powered by batteries. There is a steep incline in this usage. The same for the energy storages for electric vehicle cars, like chargers. We will have to implement them more and more, because the more electric cars we have, the existing infrastructure won't be able to sustain the electric being used for the cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, for the person asking this question, that when I was a commissioner for DWP, this is something that I pushed for a lot, because I know that it's not only just good for the environment, but it's also good for us. And the idea of microgrid, so that a few homes or maybe a whole neighborhood has solar panels and they have battery storage, and they can be self-reliant, can save lives. Imagine in places where there's already, fires, and there, in California, where traditionally actually power transmission lines have had ignited fires. I think it's extremely important that we support this type of technology. This is what I wanted to bring you in to talk more to us about batteries, and to educate us about your specifically how different is yours. And earlier somebody was again asking if you guys were a battery free of lithium and free of cobalt, or either or both.
Yeah, so to answer first, I would like to just point out, for example, we were in Puerto Rico where after the hurricane, there's still a lot of houses without energy. They're not, because of the power plant was not functional after the hurricane. So they are looking for solutions to implement off-grid solutions. So solar plus battery storage, and they won't connect it to power grid anymore. So, for example, that would be a very current usage of the battery storage. And in terms of the chemistry used, yes, we have a cobalt-free solution, but it's a lithium-ion battery, so we do have lithium ions in the battery.
Okay. Okay, awesome. I think there's a viewer that wanted to just make sure that if it was one of the other. Do you have any information about solid state or battery technology? I'm not very aware of like the details, but I'm wondering if you do.
Sure. Well, solid-state batteries were before lithium-ion batteries. In the 1970s, they were developing lithium metals. The problem with that, it has potential to have a higher energy density, but also unstable and unsafe. So there's a lot of companies working right now on solutions for this type of battery because it can provide very high energy density. The question is the safety.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember in my days as a commissioner for the Department of Water and Power, that was a big piece. What are the things that you can approve that are safe in buildings and homes and commercial properties, and you can still provide a good service at an affordable at an affordable cost. And just coming back to the question a little bit about when are we going to see batteries everywhere? I mean, I think, guys, the time is now. The time for us to ask for more, it couldn't be more poignant than right now. We need partners that are developing good technology like Power Orbital that are being good to the environment, that after you utilize the battery, you can take it back and recycle it, which I think is a game changer in this industry. And also from an environmental justice standpoint, imagine all the people that live in high polluted areas. Imagine the people that live next to freeways or live next to gas or coal plants that now can maybe have battery technology and like not have like pollution. Can you only imagine how that would be?
And yeah, that's great, and that's very important. And what's also important, it's becoming cost effective. It's way cheaper. It's proven that photovoltaics plus wind with the energy storages is just the cheapest possible way to have energy. So why wouldn't we do it if it's clean energy and it's cheaper?
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, if I had a solar panel in my home, if I had solar panels, which is something that we also in LA have been trying to really work on. I rent my home. I don't own a home. And we recently, last year, we started a pilot project to have solar for renters. And so for those of us that can maybe get solar or have a solar panel, how costly for a residential customer it is to install a battery?
Typically, it depends on the size of the house, but usually the solar panels plus the battery storage, we're talking about roughly $20,000. It really depends on the size of the square meters or square feet for the house and the usage, how much energy is needed to be used in the house. But we're creating actually really cost-effective solutions for the Puerto Rico. We're making a prototype, which would be sort of like an IKEA style, all-in-one solution, a little bit of solar panels, only 10 kilowatt hours, battery storage for $7,000 max.
That is incredible. Wow. I knew you were going to throw a number there, but I didn't think it was going to be that low. That is incredible. That is such an amazing opportunity. Are you working with folks here in LA or people, organizations, or are you working with our local utility to make sure that your technology is also coming here?
Yeah, we've had several meetings, and we're working on a prototype for actually a government. I'm not able to disclose the details, but more and more prototypes are being prepared for to be shown in the US. We also created first prototype just to test in extreme weather temperature in Garlic, Nevada. It's a formerly NASA funded project where we power wind station and test the batteries in extreme temperature conditions.
Got it. Okay. I guess let me see if I can. I'm missing a bunch of other questions from our audience. But I guess is there a way to get so I guess people are asking if there is a way to fund and to streamline this technology with the recent budget. So, in LA right now, we're deciding our budget, our city budget. So where our different money goes. A lot of things have been cut and other things have not been cut. And that's a whole other conversation that we can have. But I guess people are asking if we can get the funding to streamline this technology. And I can tell you guys that yes, we can. We can demand for this. We must demand for this because our city needs it, and every Angelino should have access to renewable energy and also to battery. I think it's a mistake personally to have just programs with just solar, because we miss a huge opportunity to store that energy and to utilize it for something that we need it later. And I want to ask you, now with this, we used to talk about the curve, now the COVID curve, but in terms of and during the day you would be at work, doing things, and at night that's when people will come home and hopefully have an electric car and charge their car and and do all these other activities, making the curve of power that we utilize to the later afternoon. But now with COVID-19, a lot of people are home all the time. We're working, we're doing things. How do you see this battery storage affecting or helping kind of shape that also power curve?
So I'm not sure if I'm in right now. It's showing poor internet. Do you see me?
I don't see you on Instagram, but I see you everywhere else. Okay. So we'll bring back to Instagram. No worries.
So 1 moment. It's just
I just reframe the question. How do you see now with COVID-19 and people working during the day? How do you see that like changing the curve that we used to have to mitigate power needs, in like different cities?
I mean, technically, it's just that the cost will probably go more towards people staying at home, so they will pay for the cost of the electricity as opposed to when they're working in the company and the expenses go up to the company. The usage by itself probably change a little bit, not significantly, because I mean it will probably come back to normal hopefully within a few months, so we'll be back where we're at. But it's just that the whole sustainability model is I think it's a little bit of a natural warning for us that we have to do something. We're polluting our planet where we live, and there's no reason why not to use sustainable energy if it makes sense to us. And I see that it only makes sense because it's cheaper. The energy exists already. We don't have to create it. We just have to store it and use it whenever we need it. So.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to bring you back on Instagram because I'm having a really good question that I think you are going to really enjoy. And somebody's asking, that in Los Angeles, I'll bring the question when you join us. But somebody on Instagram is asking that in Los Angeles for the past 2 years, we have been hearing 100% renewables, but we don't see it really happening. And so are we going to see it happen?
Well, I think they were saying that California is aiming to be 100% renewable by 2050. I think there's a lot of steps towards that, but it has to be also implied by us. If there is a decision for me as a homeowner to either stay connected to the power line or to invest some sort of money initially to buy the energy storage and get the solars, I can help by doing that. So if each of us will do that, it will significantly change the sustainability model, as well as we have to push the government to make the necessary steps for the sustainable energy. And if we do it collectively, we will move towards 100% sustainability. But in order to do that, we also have to support companies who provide solar panels or battery storages, because there is not enough right now manufacturers of battery storage, for example, the battery cells. So unless we help fund companies like that, not necessarily us, any battery storage company manufacturer, then it will be very hard to move forward. The same goes towards research. I mean, we've invested a lot of our personal money to make the research to come with the solution of safety and fully recyclable battery. It's if there should be some sort of governmental help in terms of those research and development and just pushing forward to sustainable energy.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm so glad that we're on the same page, because sometimes you see companies that are not actually aligned with a lot of the environmental goals that I think we have as cities and as California in general, and also our residents. I'm getting a question about Tesla, and I was afraid of this question. But what is the difference between a Tesla house battery smaller than all batteries, or your battery, for example?
So Tesla is using small Panasonic cylindrical cells. It's a different technology. It's a small thin metal layer. They put small active material on it. To my understanding, it's only by 40% recyclable, so they cannot recycle the battery. Panasonic is, we've made some tests. With the firemen's, we put our batteries together with Samsung or Tesla batteries in fire, and it's on YouTube, the results of the test. It's been quite significant that it's not a safe solution, but it's not up to me to make the decision. But it's a different technology. We have large metal frames with pouches to put active materials in it, and we have a cooling system inside. So it's quite different architecture, although the chemistry itself is similar.
Do they use also lithium?
Yeah, they're lithium-ion batteries. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think the difference is that they do not like take your battery back and recycle it.
Yeah, and it's just the typical. It's a totally different system. It's a small cylindrical cell as opposed to our battery is large. So you can imagine each of the cylindrical cell needs electronics and the cooling system. We have one large battery that has two connectors only. So the less electronics you have, there's less likely something goes wrong.
Yeah, so somebody's asking just a very basic question, which is, what's the life of the battery?
Similar to any other competitors on the market.
So that's 10 years, 5 years?
It depends on the depth of discharge and the usage of the battery. So let's say for residential usage, you usually just use 10% of the depth of discharge, because it goes in waves, and you just use the upper part of the battery. Typically, we would be fine for 20 years.
Wow, you guys, that's a good investment. If I'm going to pay $7,000 or $10,000 for the length of 20 years, let's say, if I live in a home, and I can be off the grid, that sounds very attractive to me, at least. I don't know.
And in terms of the customers, it's also for the large portion of the price at the end of the life cycle. Even if it's if the battery is used more, then also the life cycle would be shorter. we buy it back and we pay the customer a portion of the amount of the battery. So that's also cost savings.
That is incredible, incredible, incredible. Is your background in science?
No, it's not. My background is economy and law, so a little bit different. But I
Wow.
did my studies.
For sure. I mean, like I'm getting all sorts of questions, and I'm just really happy that you guys at Power Orbital have a broader kind of thinking, vision, and strategy, not to just produce a product that is mitigating or meeting a need in the market, but it's also that it's good for the environment, that is good for people, that you guys are thinking outside of the box. It's really exciting to see that.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys are working on a couple of other projects that you and I have talked about, that I hope everyone returns and to our conversation, because there's a lot of stuff, especially related to COVID and bacteria and some of the stuff, but we will leave you guys that conversation. We will leave it for another time. So what is next for Power Orbital? Where are you guys in your phase, or where are you guys?
So for us, next step is to raise the capital needed to build a second factory for the US market. So we're hardly working on raising the capital. It's been a little bit slower with the circumstances of the COVID-19, but it's in the past 2 weeks it's picked up. So we just have to raise the capital, build the factory, and start manufacturing as soon as possible.
Exciting. So basically right now you're looking for friends to support your idea. If we have friends watching right now that maybe can support your ideas, well, number one, for everyone that has been watching, I hope that you can forward this message to a friend or somebody that you know that might be interested in learning more about this technology in general, and also about Power Orbital. What website can we find you? Where can we find you if we want more information, or if people want to get in touch with you?
It would be powerorbital.com.
Powerorbital.com. Okay, we'll put it on the chat in just a minute. But I'm getting another call, and I think somebody was maybe late to the conversation. But they said they have heard parallels made between lithium mining and coal mining, mountain top removal. Any comments about just kind of like this?
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
This is parallels. So parallel made between lithium mining and coal mining. But I don't think batteries use any coal, as far as I'm concerned.
No. Well, coal that's the old style of making the energy.
Yeah,
it's a dinosaur.
It's like, please. I don't know if you know that LA used to own one of the largest power plant in the West, located in the Navajo generating station in the Navajo reservation in Arizona. And in 2016, we completely divested out of coal in that coal plant, and now it's turned all into renewables. So my hope is that as all Angelinos are watching and other people in the world, we get on board to support more battery storage technology, good companies that are doing good work for the environment and to meet the needs, and also that we can start advocating and supporting ideas like Power Orbital, and spreading the word so that we can also, like, individually can get the benefits. Well, I think that this is it. You can see on the screen right now that the website is powerorbital.com, and we're gonna have Lenka come back again, or maybe some other people from her team, to talk about some other exciting things that they're working on. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you so much for being a woman in energy. I belong to this world, and it can be very lonely, even though you want to disregard. But thank you so much for supporting an idea, a technology, and ultimately a product that is good for us, and that is also good for the environment.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, is there anything else that you want to share with us before we go?
I I would just ask all the people to think about it when next time when you buy a house, think about the energy storage, or not necessarily when you buy a house, to just think about it that eventually it might be initial cost, but it will come back and you'll also be saving planet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lenka. We will talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So thank you, everyone. That was Power Orbital, and they were sharing with us more about their technology and all of their work around batteries and renewables and the boom of this industry, and how they can also be a big player on how we come out of this COVID-19 pandemic. And I think the perfect time to advocate and to ask for more renewable energy and for better environmental practices is now. We couldn't be in a better time than now. So if you like what you hear, please send this recording and this live stream to friends and to people that might be interested in Power Orbital, and go to their website and check out more information about who they are, and maybe share it with your friends, maybe share it with your contacts. Next Thursday, I have someone that is very special for me, and a friend that I know for many years, included in my days as a commissioner for the Department of Water and Power. Marty Adams, who is the general manager for LADWP, is going to come and is going to answer our questions about how LADWP is helping residents and the community as a whole mitigate their needs of water and power in these times of COVID-19. So for a lot of people that have lost their jobs, it's been hard to pay their bills. So Marty is going to come and talk to us a little bit about that. So please tune in next Thursday at 5 p.m. here in my social media. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.